Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think, well, a lot of us struggle with. Why is building good habits and breaking bad ones so incredibly difficult? And more importantly, how can really small changes actually lead to big results?
We're diving deep into Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a fantastic source because it's based on solid research, but also his own pretty incredible personal story. He overcame a really devastating injury using exactly these principles of small, consistent effort.
That story is just, wow, getting hit in the face with a baseball bat, skull fractures, eye injuries, seizures, it sounds impossible to come back from.
Absolutely. And yet, years later, he's a top athlete, a successful author, all built, he argues, on tiny improvements stacked over time.
So our mission here is to unpack the core ideas from this book, to really understand how these, well, atomic changes can genuinely reshape things for you.
Exactly. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the central idea right off the bat kind of flips the script on how we usually think about self-improvement. We often aim for huge, dramatic changes.
Right, we want that massive transformation, that overnight success. But Clear argues that real sustainable change doesn't usually come from one giant leap. It comes from the compound effect of hundreds of tiny decisions, these little habits repeated day in, day out.
He calls them atomic habits. Why atomic?
Well, like atoms are the fundamental building blocks of matter, these tiny habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. They seem insignificant on their own, maybe, but they're part of a larger system. They build on each other.
And the compounding effect. The math is actually startling, getting just 1% better each day for a year.
You don't just end up, 365% better because of compounding. You end up almost 37 times better. It's exponential growth.
Which is amazing. But the flip side is also true, right? Getting 1% worse.
Yeah, that also compounds. Those tiny bad habits, those seemingly harmless choices, they can erode your progress just as powerfully. It's like compound interest working for you or against you.
But this leads to a common problem, something he calls the valley of disappointment. We expect progress to be, well, linear. You put in effort, you see results immediately.
Exactly. But reality is often different. You work hard, you make changes, and for a while, nothing seems to happen. You hit this plateau of latent potential.
Latent potential, meaning the results are building up, but they're hidden.
Precisely. Think about an ice cube. You heat it from, say, 25 degrees to 31 degrees. You've put in energy, but the ice cube looks exactly the same.
Right, no visible change.
But that energy isn't wasted, it's stored. Then at 32 degrees, boom, it starts melting. All that stored effort suddenly reveals itself. Habits often work the same way. The most powerful outcomes are delayed.
That makes sense. It explains why people give up too soon. They're in the valley doing the work, but they don't see the ice melting yet.
A great real-world example he uses is the British cycling team. They were, pretty average for almost a century.
Yeah, famously so.
Then they hired Dave Brailsford, who focused on the aggregation of marginal gains. Tiny improvements in everything.
And not just the obvious stuff like bike tires or training schedules.
No, I mean everything. They redesigned bike seats for better comfort, tested different massage gels, found the best pillows for sleep quality, even taught riders the optimal way to wash their hands to avoid illness.
They painted the inside of the team truck white. Why?
To spot tiny bits of dust easier. Dust that could potentially affect the finely tuned bikes. It was about optimizing hundreds of tiny overlooked details, and the cumulative effect, they became dominant.
That's incredible. It really highlights this shift from focusing only on the big win to focusing on the tiny steps in the process.
Which brings us neatly to the next key idea: systems versus goals.
Okay, what's the distinction there?
Goals are about the results you want. Win the championship, lose 10 pounds, write a novel, the destination.
Got it. And systems?
Systems are the processes, the routines, the habits that lead to those results. Your training plan, your meal prep routine, your daily writing schedule, that's the journey.
And Clear argues focusing on the system is actually more effective.
Yes, because goals are temporary. You achieve the goal, then what? Systems are ongoing. He says you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
Wow, say that again. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
It means your ambition, your goal, doesn't guarantee success. It's the quality of your underlying habits, your system, that determines your baseline performance and your long-term trajectory. If you want better results, stop focusing only on the goal and start building a better system.
That feels fundamental. It connects to another really deep concept in the book: identity.
Ah, yes.
Hmm.
This is probably the most profound level of behavior change. It's not just about what you get, outcomes, or what you do, process, but about who you become.
So shifting from outcome-based habits to identity-based habits.
Exactly. Instead of, I want to read a book, outcome, the focus becomes, I want to become a reader, identity. Instead of, I want to run a marathon, it's, I want to become a runner.
How does that change things?
Because your identity emerges from your habits. Every action you take is like a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Go for a run, that's a vote for being a runner. Write a page. A vote for being a writer. Meditate. A vote for being calm.
So these small habits, these atomic habits, they're essentially building evidence for your desired identity.
Precisely. The process he suggests is simple. 1. Decide the type of person you want to be. 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. These small habits reinforce that identity.
But what if your habits conflict with your current identity, or maybe the identity of your social group?
That's a major barrier. If you see yourself as not a morning person, waking up early is tough. If your friends all smoke, quitting is harder. True progress often requires you to consciously edit your beliefs about yourself, and perhaps even redefine your connection to certain groups.
So habits aren't just about achieving things, they're about shaping who you are.
That's the core message. It's about becoming someone. And this process of habit formation, Clear breaks it down into 4 laws of behavior change, which mirror a fundamental pattern.
Okay, what's the pattern?
It's a 4-step loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. It underlies basically every human behavior.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Can you give an example?
Sure, your phone buzzes.
Yeah.
Cue. You wonder who messaged you? You want that little hit of connection or information, craving. You pick up the phone and check it, response. You see the message, satisfying the curiosity, reward.
Ah, okay. And this loop reinforces itself.
Yes, the reward tells your brain, hey, that worked. Let's do it again next time the cue appears. And this often happens incredibly fast, almost unconsciously.
Which highlights why awareness is so important.
Exactly. And that brings us to the first law. Make it obvious.
To change a habit, you first need to be aware of the cues that trigger it.
Right. He mentions the Japanese railway system's pointing and calling method. Conductors physically point at signals and call out their status. It makes unconscious actions conscious, reducing errors.
So how can you apply that? Make your own habits conscious.
One practical exercise is the habit scorecard. Simply list out your daily habits, everything from hitting snooze to brushing your teeth to scrolling social media, then mark each one. Plus, if it serves your goals identity, if it hinders, if it's neutral.
Just the act of noticing that increases awareness.
Immensely. Then, once you're aware, you need to make the cues for your good habits obvious. 2 key strategies here are implementation intentions and habit stacking.
Implementation intentions. That's about planning when and where you'll do the habit.
Yes, the formula is I will behavior at time and location. So not just I'll exercise more, but I will do 20 push-ups at 7 a.m. in my living room. Studies show the specificity dramatically boosts follow-through.
Okay, and habit stacking.
That's linking a new habit to one you already do consistently. After current habit, I will new habit, like after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. You leverage the existing cue.
Makes sense. Using the momentum of what you already do.
But maybe the most powerful way to make cues obvious is environment design. Structure your surroundings so the cues for good habits are visible and unavoidable.
Like leaving your running shoes by the door, or putting fruit on the counter instead of cookies.
Exactly. Context shapes behavior more than we realize. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to watch less TV, maybe hide the remote or even put the TV in a less central spot. Habits are often easier to change in a new environment altogether because you escape old triggers.
Right, the Vietnam veteran study he mentions.
Yeah, many soldiers who were addicted to heroin in Vietnam simply stopped when they returned home to a completely different environment without the war zone cues. Much higher success rate than typical rehab, where people often return to the same triggering environment.
So the flip side, the inversion of the first law, is make it invisible.
To break a bad habit, reduce your exposure to the cue. Unplug the game console and put it in the closet. Delete the tempting apps from your phone. Hide the junk food. Willpower is finite. Optimizing your environment is a more reliable strategy long-term.
Okay, that's the cue covered. Law number 2.
Make it attractive. This addresses the craving part of the loop. Cravings are the motivation, the desire. And what we crave isn't the habit itself, usually. It's the change in state it promises.
Like you don't crave smoking a cigarette, you crave the feeling of relief it provides.
Exactly. Or you don't crave brushing your teeth, you crave the feeling of a clean mouth. Dopamine plays a huge role here. It's released not just when you experience pleasure, but in anticipation of it. The anticipation is the craving.
And our modern world is designed to hijack this anticipation system, isn't it? With supernormal stimuli.
Oh, absolutely. Food companies engineer products with the perfect bliss point of salt, sugar, and fat. Social media offers variable rewards that keep us hooked. These things are exaggerated versions of natural rewards, making them hyper-attractive to our brains.
So how do we make good habits more attractive?
One powerful way is social influence. We naturally imitate the habits of people close to us, family, friends, the majority, our tribe, and those we admire, the powerful or high status.
So joining a group where your desired behavior is the norm, like a running club if you want to become a runner.
Precisely. When the behavior helps you fit in and gain social acceptance, it becomes much more attractive. Think about the Asch conformity experiments people would often agree with an obviously wrong answer just to fit in with the group. Norms are powerful.
What about internal strategies? Making it attractive in your own mind.
That's about reframing your mindset. Change the story you tell yourself about the habit. Focus on the benefits, not the drawbacks.
Instead of, I have to save money, think, I get to build financial freedom.
Yes. Or instead of, I have to exercise, think, I get to build strength and reduce stress.
Yeah.
You choose the perspective that makes the habit seem like an opportunity, not a burden. Both perspectives might be true, but one is way more motivating.
And the inversion, make it unattractive.
Right. Reframe bad habits by highlighting their negative consequences. Think about the long-term costs, the downsides. Make the prospect of doing it seem less appealing.
Okay, law 3.
Make it easy. This tackles the response, the actual doing of the habit. It taps into the law of least effort. Humans are fundamentally wired to conserve energy. We naturally drift towards the easiest option.
Which explains why scrolling our phones is so easy. Low effort, immediate feedback.
Exactly. So to build good habits, you need to reduce friction. Make them as effortless as possible. Decrease the number of steps between you and the action.
Like those Japanese factories, optimizing every movement on the assembly line, or Amazon's one-click ordering.
Perfect examples. We could do this in our own lives by priming the environment. Set out your workout clothes the night before. Chop vegetables for tomorrow's healthy meal today. Prepare your workspace before you start. Make the next action easy.
And the 2-minute rule fits here too, right?
Absolutely. Scale down any new habit so it takes less than 2 minutes to start. Read one page, put on running shoes, do one push-up, meditate for 60 seconds.
But what's the point of just one push-up?
The point isn't the push-up itself, initially. It's mastering the art of showing up. It makes starting automatic. You standardize the habit before you optimize it. And crucially, even doing it for 2 minutes casts a vote for your identity. You're the type of person who doesn't miss workouts, even if it's just putting on the shoes today.
That's powerful. Standardize before you optimize. I like that.
Another strategy under Make It Easy is automation. Use technology or one-time decisions that lock in future behavior.
Like automatic bill pay. Or setting your phone to do not disturb during work hours.
Yes, or deleting social media apps entirely, using website blockers. Commitment devices are great too, like an outlet timer that cuts off your Wi-Fi at 10 p.m. Or the invention of the cash register and automated honesty by making skimming difficult.
Makes sense. And the inversion, make it difficult.
Increase the friction for bad habits. If you want to watch less TV, unplug it after each use and put the remote in another room. Make the unwanted behavior inconvenient.
Okay, brings us to the final law, law 4.
Make it satisfying. This is about the reward. The cardinal rule of behavior change is, what is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided. If an experience feels good, you're more likely to do it again.
Like the Karachi hand washing study, adding nice soap made people wash their hands more often than just telling them it was healthy.
Exactly. Or why toothpaste often has minty flavors and chewing gum became popular with added flavors. That immediate sensory satisfaction reinforces the habit.
But the challenge, as you mentioned, is that many good habits have delayed rewards, while bad habits offer immediate gratification. Our brains evolved for immediate returns.
Right. We're wired for the now. So we need to find ways to bring immediate satisfaction to habits with long-term payoffs. Use immediate reinforcement.
How does that work?
Add a small, immediate reward right after completing a good habit. Maybe transfer $10 into a vacation fund each time you skip buying coffee out. Or enjoy a relaxing bath after a difficult workout. The key is the reward should align with your desired identity, not contradict it. Rewarding a healthy meal with a giant sundae kind of defeats the purpose.
Got it. What else makes habits satisfying?
Habit tracking. Keeping a record of your habit streak, like marking an X on a calendar each day you exercise. It makes the habit obvious, you see the calendar, attractive, you don't want to break the chain like Seinfeld's method, and satisfying. Checking it off feels good.
It provides that immediate visual proof of progress.
Exactly. It keeps you honest and reinforces the votes you're casting for your identity.
And the inversion make it unsatisfying.
To break a bad habit, make the consequence immediate and unpleasant. The sooner the pain follows the action, the less likely you are to repeat it.
This is where things like accountability partners come in.
Yes, and habit contracts. Make a formal agreement, maybe even with a financial penalty, for failing to stick to your commitment. Brian Harris's example of facing consequences like dressing formally every day if he didn't meet weight goals is a strong deterrent. Knowing someone is watching adds a powerful social cost to failure.
Okay, so those are the 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. And they're inversions for breaking bad habits. But what about maintaining momentum? What if you slip up?
That's crucial. Clear's rule is never miss twice. Missing 1 day is an accident, life happens. Missing 2 days in a row is the start of a new, undesirable habit. The key is to get back on track immediately. Don't let one slip derail everything. Imperfect progress is still progress.
And be careful what you measure, right? Goodhart's law.
Yes. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. If you focus solely on the number on the scale, you might adopt unhealthy behaviors just to move the number, losing sight of actual health. Focus on the process and the underlying qualities you want to build, not just easily quantifiable metrics that might be misleading.
It's also important to choose the right habits for you, isn't it? Playing the right game.
Definitely. Finding where your natural inclinations and talents lie, your niche. Habits are easier to stick with when they align with your strengths. Genes don't dictate destiny, but they influence your areas of opportunity. Pick battles you're suited to win, or even create your own game.
And then there's boredom. Sticking with it when it's no longer new and exciting.
That's often the biggest challenge long-term. Professionals stick to the schedule even on days they don't feel like it. Amateurs let feelings dictate actions. The Goldilocks rule helps here, finding tasks that are just manageably difficult, challenging enough to be engaging, but not so hard they're discouraging.
And finally, avoiding complacency. Even good habits need review.
Absolutely. As habits become automatic, you can stop paying attention. Implementing regular reflection and review, like an annual review, or tracking career best efforts like Pat Riley did, ensures you're still improving and consciously refining, not just mindlessly repeating.
So pulling it all together, it really feels like that Sorite's paradox idea. One small habit, like 1 grain of sand, doesn't seem like much.
But you keep adding them consistently, day after day. And eventually, you build something remarkable, a heap of sand, a transformed life. Small habits don't just add up, they compound.
In health, knowledge, relationships, finances, everywhere.
And it circles back to that core idea. It's not just about what you achieve, but who you become in the process. Fulfilling your potential through these tiny, consistent choices.
It definitely makes you pause and think, what small votes am I casting today? And are they moving me closer to the person I want to be?
That's the question to ponder.
Absolutely. Well, this has been incredibly insightful. And if this deep dive into atomic habits has helped you clarify these ideas, maybe given you some practical steps, do consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel.
Yeah, it genuinely helps us know we're on the right track and lets us continue bringing these kinds of explorations to you. Your support really does make a difference.
Thanks so much for joining us on The Deep Dive.